Welcome to the Tournament of the Americas, one of the 5 regional Olympic basketball qualifying tournaments. 10 countries from the Western Hemisphere are represented here in Portland. 4 will move on to Barcelona. It was only 2 weeks ago that fans here in Portland were rooting for their Western Conference champion Trailblazers against the Chicago Bulls in the NBA Finals. Now they are unified in support of the United States Olympic team, what may well be the best basketball team ever assembled. And here they are, moments away from their international debut.
And now, the United States of America. Assistant coaches P.J. Carlesimo, Mike Krzyzewski, and Lenny Wilkins. The head coach, Chuck Daly. The roster for the United States, a 6'11" forward, Christian Laettner. A 7'1" center, David Robinson. A 7-foot center, Patrick Ewing. A 6'9" forward, Larry Bird. A 6'7" forward, Scottie Pippen. A 6'6" guard, Michael Jordan. A 6'7" guard, Clyde Drexler. A 6'9" forward, Karl Malone. A 6'1" guard, John Stockton. A 6'7" forward, Chris Mullin. A 6'6" forward, Charles Barkley.
Matt is going to get out here fast.
And a 6'9" guard, Irvin Magic Johnson.
A rousing ovation for a group that many refer to as the Dream Team. And the likely scenario would have the United States plus 3 other countries qualify from this group of 10 that is divided into 2 pools of 5 teams apiece. So the end result by next Sunday, 4 of these countries will make it to Barcelona. We welcome you to the start of our Olympic basketball coverage here on NBC. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. And Mike, Chuck Daly had well, let's see, 6 days that he was able to squeeze out in practice time. Cuba will be overmatched against this very powerful American squad. What will be the coaching philosophy of the United States team in going into its opening game today?
Mark, not an easy job for Chuck Daly and the staff putting this all together. A few fatigued players coming off the championship series, a couple of players recovering from injuries, and then some players who had not played for quite a while. So first, he had to get them in shape and then give them some type of organization. The philosophy here, keep it very simple. Limited number of plays, and let them play with their basketball abilities, their athleticism, and get through these first couple games until he has more time to put more things in, and that's what they're counting on to earn these first couple victories.
All right, and last night in dramatic fashion, the Cuba team came from 14 points down to defeat Canada 79-78 on this last-second three-point field goal by Jose Diaz, and that certainly provided a major surprise.
It almost seemed as if Diaz had lost sight of the 30-second clock and was not going to get that winning shot off, but he managed to knock it down. The key guy for this team, however, from Cuba is his backcourt partner, Leonardo Perez, who I liken to Earl Monroe with the pullback spin dribble moves. He scored 20 of his 22 points in the second half, and he'll draw very special attention from the U.S. defense.
All right, as both clubs wind up their pregame warm-ups, when we come back, the United States men's Olympic basketball team will begin its quest for the gold.
This Olympic Showcase is brought to you by AT&T, proud sponsor of USA Basketball. By Philips Lighting, opening the world's eyes to light. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. And by McDonald's, helping Olympic dreams come true.
Today's starting lineups brought to you by Schick.
All right, for Cuba, the starting guards, last night's hero, Jose Diaz, along with Leonardo Perez. Up front, Lazaro Burrell, who is very well regarded, and Judith Abreu. And the starting center for Cuba is Andres Gilbert. The coach is Miguel Calderon, who says our height isn't at the world level, but our speed and quickness certainly is. For the United States, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan open in the backcourt. Chuck Daly's starting lineup, Larry Bird and Charles Barkley at the forward positions, and David Robinson at center, making it back from the surgically repaired thumb. And there is the coach of the United States basketball team, Chuck Daly, now the head coach of the New Jersey Nets after handling the Detroit Pistons for 9 seasons, winning NBA titles back in 1989 and 1990. The officials, Kostas Rigas of Greece and Carlos Affini of Brazil, both with vast international experience. And in the white uniform, Magic Johnson controls the tip. Here's Larry Bird backing in, goes to the fadeaway. So the United States with a 2-0 lead. This is Jose Diaz, the point guard, 21 years old, giving it up to Judith Abreu, 6'8" forward, guarded by Larry Bird. Lazaro Burrell, and it's rebounded by David Robinson, getting the position on Gilbert. Michael Jordan, rebounded by Robinson. Charles Barkley. The United States off to the 4-0 lead.
And rebounding the glass should be a strong point for the U.S. team against Cuba. There is a much difference here between the size, strength of these two teams. Cuba is not a physical team. They're a very small team as far as their width and girth.
And that is a three-pointer for the starting center, Andres Gilbert. The three-point line is closer than an NBA play. Jordan trying to feed Robinson. Three-point distance, 20.5 feet. In the NBA, the three-point shot is 23.9. And in the NCAA, it's 19.9. Bird will inbound. 4-0 for the United States. Here's Magic, and he's hacked. On the subject of the difference in rules under international rules as we run it down.
Well, the distance from the NBA three-point line is a little bit, about 2.5, 3 feet difference from the FIBA court. There is a 30-second shot clock rather than the 24-second clock used in the NBA. Another one of the differences, when you foul, taking a three-point attempt, you receive 3 free throws rather than just 2, as in the NBA.
court normally is slightly shorter, but here in Portland, and that this is the home of the Portland Trailblazers of the NBA, they are going with the 94-foot court in terms of length. Normally in international play under FIBA, the International Basketball Association, it will be 91 feet. Crowd wanted to travel, but the air ball was tossed by Burrell. Johnson leading the break, finds Robinson.
Magic Johnson, who sees the whole floor, knew he had a guy on the right, a guy on the left. He hangs in the air long enough to reward his big man, David Robinson, running the floor. And that was one of the things that Robinson mentioned to us yesterday, the fact that these people know how to get you the ball and where and when to do it.
Gilbert putting the move on, took the push from Robinson.
Once you defensive rebound with guys like Robinson and Larry Bird, and then have a point man in the middle, like Magic running the show, you know you're going to get some easy scores for the U.S.
Ladies and gentlemen, the special USA Today.
Back in Portland, United States 8, Cuba 3. We are joined on the sidelines by double coverage today. We'll be hearing from both Ahmad Rashad and Quinn Buckner. Let's start with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. I was talking to Michael Jordan about his week of practice down in San Diego. He said it was one of the greatest experiences he's ever had, not so much for the basketball, but for the camaraderie that he had among his other teammates. Magic Johnson said, yeah, the week was fine, but I'm ready to get it going and get this game started. For more on the Cuban situation, let's go down to my amigo, Quinn Buckner.
Well, gracias, mi hombre. When I talked to the Cuban assistant coach, Thomas Herrera, the thing that he pointed out that his club was going to come out and play, try to do something different to the Americans. He said they were going to try to play with a lot of heart. I suggest to you, if they're going to play with a lot of heart, they got a task that's mucho grande. Marvin, Mike?
All right, Quinn, you just saw the gorgeous setup once again by Magic Johnson, leading to the foul by Andres Gilbert, putting David Robinson at the free throw line.
You have so many people that pass the basketball well, but none better than Magic, and a big guy like Robinson finding the open spots. He just runs the floor so well.
Charles Barkley trying to sneak in, stepped into the lane too quickly. He came from out deep looking for the rebound, and so the ball goes back to Cuba.
For Perez right now, he is facing a defensive player named Michael Jordan, who happens to be the best defensive guard in the NBA. When Michael wants to get down and stop, you get no easy shots, and so far Perez understands that.
Diaz trying the three. Cubans have been hoisting three-pointers. Here's Barkley. Larry Bird with the outlet, and Barkley was hit on the reach-in.
Larry Bird on the defensive boards right now is a man possessed. I mean, he is going after every defensive rebound, spreading bodies, and then he just outlets the ball about a 45-foot hook pass to Barkley on the move.
Perhaps a little traveling music for Charles, but he was hit on the reach-in by Perez. Charles Barkley telling us earlier how much he enjoyed the week of practice, getting on everybody's case. He has emerged as the team comedian, and we'll be hearing from Charles a bit later on. He has been serious, though, about his basketball. That is now Charles Barkley of the Phoenix Suns. This is Perez, guarded by Jordan. Abreu being played by Bird. Diaz, yes, Jose Diaz, who has been on Cuba's national team the last 2 years. He hit the three-pointer in the final seconds last night to come up with that victory over Canada. USA with a 10-5 lead. That won't count. And the foul is called against Cuba. It's on Perez. That's his second.
Chuck Daly and the staff have had an opportunity to put very few set plays in. They have 2 or 3 from the half-court offense, a couple options in the transition, and they know who their go-to guys are, and each of these players has the ability one-on-one to get a basket.
Now Cuba to the offense, led by Perez, throws the three up, and rebounded by Jordan.
Perez may have realized that may be his best opportunity to get an open look in transition.
Magic with the pass that misfired. Jordan with the behind-the-back save. Here's Bird. Yes!
And you just knew that Larry Bird was not going to miss that shot after the great save by Michael Jordan.
United States with a 12-5 lead. 4 minutes have gone by. For the U.S., it is their debut in the tournament. of Americans. Nice move by Yudit Abreu. And the United States with a 12-7 advantage. Pretty good. Barkley able to finish it off.
And you can see the United States team really pushing the basketball back at Cuba. The Cuban team practiced at 8 a.m. yesterday morning, played at 8 p.m. Yesterday evening, back again at 12 noon here in Portland to play the U.S. team. The United States making them pay the price by running the floor both ways hard.
Burrell. And Bird again with the rebound. Lazaro Burrell last night against Canada got in early foul trouble, then came on strong in the second half. Bird is wide open. That's a shot, as other international competition will certainly learn. You just cannot give that to, I would say, most of the members of the U.S. squad, but particularly Larry Bird. That's a short-range three for Bird.
Well, let's go back a few moments ago to an outstanding effort by Michael Jordan. First of all, just getting to this basketball, then trying to save it, and then saving it with a behind-the-back pass to Larry Bird, who you know he's going to make the shot once he gets the opportunity.
Nice fake by Perez. Leonardo Perez, who had 22 points last night on the win over the Canadian team. 20 of his 22 coming in the second half. United States with a 17-9 lead. Jordan guarded by Diaz.
And the Cuban team now switching into a zone defense, getting out of the man-to-man. This is one of the things that the U.S. team has worked against.
Another pretty feed from Magic Johnson. David Robinson has 4 points, and the U.S. with a 19-9 lead. Abreu threw a pass to himself. That's a discontinue.
Their first look at the zone defense. U.S. goes into their zone attack, and nothing easier than finding David Robinson down on the low block for a deuce.
Magic Johnson making his return to the court following his dramatic All-Star Game appearance in Orlando, taking most valuable player honors, and now back for the Olympics after sitting it out following the disclosure that he was HIV positive, and has looked sharp here at the start. It's a 4-on-2. Perez for the pull-up, and rebounded by Jordan. Oh, a bullet from Magic to Barkley.
They have so many interchangeable parts. That time, the defensive rebound by Michael Jordan, who basically, Jordan so far, just trying to shut out Perez defensively and get 1 or 2 rebounds, has done very little offensively, but he triggered the fast break with the outlet pass.
Abreu, and rebounded by Johnson. Barkley from Bird. Barkley on the move.
And that time, the defensive rebounder was Magic Johnson, who starts the break with the outlet pass. Barkley finishing once again.
The United States with a 23-9 lead. Gilbert went to the hook. Johnson sweeps the board. Magic for Barkley. United States 25, Cuba 9. And Chuck Daly getting set to make some substitutions. Karl Malone, John Stockton, and Chris Mullen will check in. Barkley has 12 points in this first half. And Barkley fires for Robinson. David Robinson will go to the line. He was hit by Andres Gilbert.
Well, Magic Johnson can either make it a spectacular pass with a cross-court diagonal look to Charles Barkley with the dunk for a finish, or he can make it very simple. Keep the ball as long as possible to the last second, make the defense commit, and then just drop it off for another deuce. It counts the same on the scoreboard either way.
And the crowd reacts to the play of the starting unit. Stockton, Mullen, and Pippen have checked in. Malone will enter in a moment. David Robinson to the foul line.
With that starting unit for the United States team, you have so much flexibility because Larry Bird, as we know, is a great defensive rebounder. we know Robinson runs the floor so well. So Chuck Daly can let Robinson take off and be the first big man down the floor. Let Jordan and Barkley fill the lanes on the outside. And then you got Bird, a great three-point shooter, trailing at the end. So it gives you all kinds of options to do offensively in transition.
And Cuba has also made wholesale changes. Barkley remaining on the floor. He's the high man with 12 points. Angel Caballero with the ball now, being guarded by Scottie Pippen. Ball fumbled by Richard Matienzo. Mullen got a piece of it. Caballero trying to save it. And he's fouled by Pippen. And now Clyde Drexler to the scorer's table, and he will hear it as he enters. A standing ovation for the hometown favorite, Clyde Drexler of the Portland Trailblazers, replacing Charles Barkley. 5-second violation. Inbounds violation. Apparently Chuck Daly wanted Clyde to check in all by himself to hear the applause from the crowd. Malone was fouled. He was fouled by Burrell. That is his first.
Number 6.
Well, they changed the call. Felix Morales picks up the foul. Felix Morales is 39 years old. He's been on the national team since back in 1974. There he is. Represented Cuba in the Olympics in 1976 and 1980. Played in the Pan American Games in 75 and 79, and did a good job last night, instrumental in the comeback against Canada.
The left-hander got a few big buckets for him, some big rebounds, and a couple big defensive plays, particularly with block shots.
Burrell guarded by Mullen. That's Morales with the ball. Puts the move on Karl Malone. Felix Morales hitting on the turnaround. United States 27, Cuba 11.
Now, this group on the floor for the United States team, if you think about it, has really 4 people who at different times for their squads during the regular season act almost as point guards. Tremendous passing ability, a high skill level.
Foul was committed by Morales. Timeout has been taken. 11:42 remaining in the first half. United States with the big lead. They've been this afternoon for Earvin Magic Johnson. 5 assists in his stint here in the first half. Even his teammates were curious to see his condition after Magic sat out this entire season. That's a subject we discussed with him.
I wanted to check me out, and that was fine because I like that. I love the pressure coming in, letting everybody see where I was, and I think they were kind of surprised at the shape I was in, and that I could still do the things that I'm used to doing.
He also mentioned to us that getting up at 5:30 in the morning, starting his weight training program at 6:30 in the morning, then playing games at 9:30 in the morning. This was a motivated person. He knew coming into training camp and in any less in excellent shape, he was going to be looked at as, well, there's more to this than meets the eye. He wanted to be the best he could be coming in to start practice.
Shot clock down to 10. Malone was rejected. Mullen for 3. And the foul called on the United States. The U.S. squad now with Stockton and Drexler in the backcourt. Mullen, Malone, and Pippen up front. Karl Malone is called for the pushing foul. The United States 27 and Cuba 11. It is the debut for the U.S. Olympic team. They had a week of practice in La Jolla, California. Broke camp with much praise for the college developmental squad that scrimmaged against them. Foul on Drexler. The Collegians providing a wake-up call with a win over the NBA Stars the very first day, but the Olympians came back very strong. They won by 40 points the next 2 days. NBA players, though, had much praise for the Collegians. Stockton with that near steal. The air ball handled by Malone. And here's Pippen on a 3-on-1, finding Stockton off to Drexler. Yes, and it counts.
You talk about perfect decision-making. The ball is outletted to Pippen, who we know can lead a fast break and finish as well as anyone. But he realizes that Stockton, the best in the league at having an assist, is out in front. And Stockton knows that he's playing in Portland, and Drexel's got a chance to score. They all make the right decisions.
You know, back to the scrimmages against the college players, most of the NBA players came away praising Chris Webber. They were so impressed. Also, according to the NBA guys, Bobby Hurley of Duke removed any doubts as to whether he can play in the NBA.
The pressure of the U.S. defense. Pippen up in the passing lane. You're just not going to get an easy pass, entry pass either way.
However, the United States throws it right back on the turnover, and Caballero was blocked. On-held Caballero, blocked by John Stockton.
You were saying Hurley, any doubt erased about Hurley?
Yes, the NBA players were extremely impressed.
They felt that each one of those guys that played on that developmental squad is going to have a terrific career down the road in the future in the NBA. They all played very, very well. Put together only 2 or 3 days prior to the U.S. team coming in. They had worked, practiced, and prepared the things that Chuck Daly and his staff asked them to be ready with. Zone defense, three-point shots especially.
United States with possession following a 3-second violation. Karl Malone with his first field goal. United States with a 32-11 lead.
And due to the injury to Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone is actually playing the center position for the second unit of the United States team, with Pippen and Mullen playing the forward spots.
Malone diving for it, but knocked it out of bounds, and Karl hears it from the crowd. There's Patrick Ewing, who suffered a dislocated thumb, jamming his right thumb against the rim during practice this past week. Went up for a shot that was blocked by Malone. The thumb will remain in a splint. He'll miss at least the first 3 games of this tournament. Forced shot thrown up by Machadel, and last touched by the United States. Even if Ewing misses the entire tournament, it's expected that he'll be ready for Barcelona. Machadel with a 3-point field goal. Alberto Machadel, 28-year-old backcourt man, a member of the national team in Cuba since back in 1983. And a reach-in foul call against Cuba. Let's go over to Ahmad for a report.
All right, Marv, as we were looking at Patrick Ewing a little bit earlier, when he hurt that thumb, he said that it really gave his chance for his ankle to heal a little bit better, because his ankle was still hurt from the playoffs. He was one of the guys that showed up down in La Jolla with a bucket of ice, carrying it around, soaking his ankle at every single opportunity. So this bad luck, I guess, turns out into a little bit of good luck for his ankle. Marv?
Arnemad and Chuck Daly said that for the Tournament of the Americas, not concerned about the backup center position, even though David Robinson is making it back from that surgically repaired thumb. As you mentioned, Mike, he has Karl Malone at the center position, and also will go with Christian Laettner at center.
And Laettner has really played very, very well in the practices for the United States team. First of all, you don't realize that he's taller than you might think he is. He's a very big player, and Minnesota got themselves an outstanding prospect in Laettner.
Christian Laettner, #1 draft pick, 3rd selection overall of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Mullen deflected it out. And you see right at the start the unselfish play here by the United States team. Earlier in the week during practice, they were actually guilty of overpassing, trying so hard to do the right thing. This is Perez, who made his return. Fast break, Drexler by himself. United States 36 and Cuba 14, just under 9 minutes left in the first half.
Well, I think Scottie Pippen said it best. He said there is nothing for us to prove individually on this team. The only thing for us to do is win a gold medal and do it collectively as a team. And there's no question that's what they're setting out to do. Share the basketball.
Mullen, yes. Chris Mullen of the Golden State Warriors able to finish off the break 38-14. The United States on top. Morales guarded by Malone. Richard Matienzo, 6'7" forward, one of Cuba's top rebounders. Stockton Stockton with the look-away, finding Pippen. The United States 40 and Cuba 16.
A couple times, Cuba has tried to change defenses, go from man-to-man over to the zone and zone back to man-to-man. But when you catch them in between, that's what's going to happen with Stockton out there.
Juan Caballero. And the United States leads 40-18. Mullen for three. Yes. Chris Mullen, a member of the 1984 gold medal winning team in Los Angeles, has had the hot hand. He now has 7 points.
Again, the understanding. Drexler with the open shot, a short three-pointer, instead gives it up to Mullen, a better perimeter shooter.
And it's Richard Atienzo. United States 43 and Cuba 20. United States right back to the court here tomorrow night. They will play Canada. Tuesday they go up against Panama. Here's Malone, and he is fouled.
If you see the United States team moving the basketball, that comes from practice. In practice, Chuck Daly yesterday would yell out the number of passes they had to throw against the zone defense before he expected a shot to go up. And with runners like Drexler getting out in front, points will come easy for the United States.
This is a story.
7:04 to go, first half, commanding lead for the United States. For Michael Jordan, low-key first half, has not scored. Michael's so accustomed to being the star, the focal point. Now he's one of 12 standouts, and I talked to him about that.
I accept that. I want to be just a part of the team. I want to be just one of the boys. I don't want to stand above none of these other guys. I just want to be on the same level with these guys. So I'm not looking at myself to be the guy to carry or the focal point of this team. I just want to fit right in with the other 11 guys and be a part of the team.
Michael coming off another storybook season, winning his 3rd Most Valuable Player award, taking MVP honors in the NBA Finals once again. And he a key member and captain of that 1984 gold medal winning team for the U.S. in Los Angeles.
And before Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were named captains of this team by Chuck Daly, he went to Michael Jordan, sat with Michael and talked to him about that selection. And Michael had mentioned to Chuck, look, I've had my opportunity to do that. It's no problem for me to step back. These guys have been around the NBA longer than I have. The respect factor there from Michael towards Larry and Magic, just tremendous. So it's not a problem for Mike. He understands what winning's about.
And Chuck Daly did not want to slight Michael Jordan by naming Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, the co-captains. Michael said he had no problem with it. Interesting that Chuck was sensitive to Michael on this. Then again, the thought of having to coach against him for another few years might have told him it was the smart thing to do. Stockton on the break, finding Pippen, and it's a charging foul. Scottie Pippen is called for the personal, and he is shaken up.
And when he looked up at Karl Malone, not a lip reader, but I think he said to Karl that I missed the shot. He was concentrating so hard on making the basket that he was wondering if he at least got the bucket in, but it rolled off the rim.
Substitution for the Cuban team, Lazaro Negrin about to check in. The hand for Juan Caballero, who was injured in that collision. Caballero involved in the collision with Scottie Pippen.
Chuck Daly can't believe that an offensive foul was called that time.
The ball goes back to the United States. 6:40 remaining in this first half. United States leading by the score 45-20. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad, Quinn Buckner from the Coliseum in Portland. Stockton with an open three. And back comes Cuba in the red and white. Rojas. Eliezer Rojas. USA with a 45-22 advantage. Karl Malone is now operating at center. Pippen able to save it at the timeline. Malone off a double team. And Pippen able to get to it. Knocked out of bounds by Caballero.
You know, the biggest decision for John Stockton is which player do I want to pick out that's most open. Once he puts it on the floor and dribble penetrates, he's got 2 or 3 people open each time.
Drexler penetrating. pass, and it counts. That time, Stockton found Drexler.
Well, if you're going to play a zone, the idea is to try and force the teams to shoot from the outside. But when you let dribble penetration like this take place, then you're really not accomplishing very much defensively.
The foul on Felix Morales, and that is his 4th personal. Drexler with another 3-point play. The United States 48 and Cuba 22. Cuba finished 4th in the Pan American Games last summer. They are the youngest team in this tournament. The United States, incidentally, is the 2nd oldest behind Brazil. The U.S. average age is 29. Stockton called for the foul. That's his 2nd. And Richard Matienzo checks back in for Cuba, replacing Felix Morales. So Morales departs after collecting his 4th foul. And now the starting unit for the U.S. about to check back in. How'd you like to be Miguel Calderon, the Cuban coach? You're down 48-22, and now you look at the starters along with Christian Leitner, who will come on for the first time.
Well, let's talk about the coach for a second. He was appointed just 8 months ago, took this team on a tour of the U.S., 0-11 against our collegiate teams, but they played some very good ones, Michigan State, UNLV.
Timeout called. We'll be back in a moment.
Shaving would be.
Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird all posed for a future cover shot for Newsweek magazine. Now, this is the scene that took place at the shoot.
You can't get too close to Michael. It's a foul.
You haven't committed a foul in almost a year and a half, man. How can you talk? My goodness. I don't think you ever fouled out of a game. When do you ever foul out of a game?
When you talk to each of these players, the #1 thing they mention is the fact that, yeah, the basketball's been great. They've been working hard, but it's the camaraderie that's developed between this group. And some of them are just getting to really know some of these other guys on a personal level for the first time because they're isolated so much during the course of the regular season that they're able to share some personal time, which they really appreciate and enjoy.
Magic Johnson telling us earlier he didn't realize that Patrick Ewing had such a sense of humor because whenever he sees him on the court, he has that the look, the game face. And a pushing foul is called as Leitner received the ball along the baseline. Rojas called for the foul. Now, I have not personally heard any of Patrick's one-liners, but Magic assures me they're knee slappers.
How would you like to be a not yet rookie in the NBA, almost there, and you get your first assignment on the floor, and the coach tells you, okay, go out there with Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, and Larry Bird, and be the 5th guy on that unit? Not bad, huh?
Leitner has reacted well. He's been very well liked over the course of the week of practice. Christian, man who helped lead Duke to 2 straight NCAA championships, the College Player of the Year, and getting his first minutes of the game. United States with a 50-22 lead. Jose Diaz with the step. And Leitner goes down. It's kept alive by Rojas. And he turns it over. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, I was talking to Michael Jordan about Christian Leitner. He said not only does this guy have tremendous range as a shooter, but also a tough mental set. And he also feels that Christian is a very knowledgeable basketball player, having played at Duke. He said that's what's going to take him a long way in the NBA, his knowledge of the game.
The Cubans back to the offense. Matienzo was hacked.
If you're wondering why the Cuban team is able to ball fake and get inside the U.S. defense as often as they have, a couple reasons. One, the United States understands that they have the shot blocking ability to change or block shots close to the rim. Secondly, Chuck Daly has placed such an emphasis on getting out and guarding the three-point line that as soon as the ball comes up above the shoulder and it's a look at the rim, our guys are running down people to make them put it on the floor.
First appearance at the free throw line for Cuba. Coming up at halftime, the Kraft halftime report with Bob Costas, and Bob will visit with the mailman Carl Malone to talk about the Dream Team Bird shaking off the three. Jordan from downtown. Barkley missed on the tip. Also at halftime, we'll catch you up on the Olympic qualifying tournament in Europe. Coming up on 4 minutes remaining in this first half, and the United States leading by the count of 50 to 24. Leitner from Johnson. Yes, and it counts. Another assist from Magic Johnson.
Well, you have a 6'9" point guard looking through this porous defense of Cuba, and then you find a guy in Leitner who has great hands and the ability to convert down low inside. The last trip down the floor for the United States team, prior one to this one, was the first time they faced the half-court trap that the Cuban team uses occasionally. They used it last night against Canada. It was effective in changing the tempo of the game in the second half, and that time, the first time they used it against the United States.
High man of the game is Charles Barkley with 12. Magic Johnson with 6 assists. Matadell, guarded by Jordan. This is Rojas, played by Barkley. Shot clock at 5. Here's Diaz for 3. And Leitner off the boards. Leitner. Barkley on the follow.
Defense is contagious. I have not seen Charles Barkley get down and defend this well and this hard over a sustained period of time in quite a few years, to be honest with you. But when you're around other people working that hard, it happens.
Well, Diaz trying to go behind the back, trying to split through, and he's called for the traveling violation. 9th turnover for Cuba. United States with only 3. They have pitched a shutout in this first half. They lead 55-24. 3 minutes remaining in the half. Bird again passing on the 3. Leitner for Barkley. And he is fouled. Foul called on Matienzo.
That last time, Christian Leitner normally would have taken that shot from the deep right-hand corner. He was wide open. There wasn't a defender within 7 or 8 feet, but that's the sharing the basketball attitude that this team has right now. He gives it up to another U.S. player hoping for a better shot. They wind up with Barkley down low in the paint, now going to the free throw line.
Charles Barkley, you'll recall, was cut during the Olympic trials back in 1984, a team coached by Bobby Knight, but Charles says the trials actually gave him a chance to play his way into the top 5 of the draft. We talked about this with him earlier this year and thought he might have some shots to take at night, but that's not the case.
No, in fact, he was very, very honest about the fact that in the end, when you say to Charles, should you have made that team? He says, no, I should not. It was the right choice by them not putting me on that team. Very upfront and honest about it.
2.5 remaining in the first half. Matadell and Barkley with the rebound. It's a 4-on-2. Johnson behind the back. Barkley couldn't handle it. Here comes Matadell. And the bank shot is put home by Negrin. Lazaro Negrin. United States leading 57-26. Cuba coming off the last-second victory last night. A come-from-behind effort against Canada. Bird for 3. Larry Bird hitting his second from downtown. He has 10 points.
That was just to make sure that nobody thought he didn't have his NBA three-point range. He got way back behind this three-point line and knocked that one down.
Yes, the three-point line in international play, 20.5 feet as opposed to 23.9 in the NBA. Michael Jordan popping it down to Christian Leitner. United States 62 and Cuba 26. We approach 1 minute remaining in the first half. And the foul called on Bird. That'll send Negrin to the foul line. For Bird, his second. Well, 4 weeks from today, this United States squad will make its Olympic debut in Barcelona. We are assuming they will qualify for the Olympics in Barcelona by roaring through this tournament. And that game will be seen in its entirety starting at 12 Eastern Time. That is 4 weeks from today. Out of this field of 10 countries, 4 will qualify for the Olympics. It is a round-robin tournament that will go right throughout the week. These are the clubs that have already qualified. A rare turnover committed by the United States. Another look at it. Spain, the host country. China, Angola, Australia. 4 from the European tournament and 4 more from the Tournament of the Americas here in Portland. By Jordan with the steal, and that is his first basket.
Michael Jordan already in this first half of basketball has jumped out in the passing lane, 4 different opportunities, anticipating where the next pass was going and getting a hand on it.
Half minute remaining in the first half. Leitner for Barkley. This is Diaz. The ball goes back to the United States with 11 seconds left.
Another case of the U.S. running at the shooter behind the three-point line. Magic that time, making the defensive rotation, forcing him to put it on the floor.
Bird for 3. Yes! His third from downtown. Larry Bird from Magic Johnson to conclude the first half. So Chuck Daly heads back to the locker room with the United States in its opening game in command to the tune of 67-27 at halftime. Coming up, Bob Costas, and Bob will be visiting with Karl Malone. The United States 23 for 36 from the field, 64% shooting. Cuba at 35%. U.S. 17 of 20 from the free throw line. Have the edge off the boards, have the edge in every department, and the 67-27 lead at halftime. The 40-point differential is the biggest lead of the ball game. Now, if you're Chuck Daly, what do you look to do in the second half? Do you try to keep the score down? Can you keep the score down?
Well, first of all, you have to let the players play the game. They've worked very
good right now.
Yeah, this is a little bit different than regular season. I don't think we were ever ahead, but I am feeling good. I thought we played great defense. When we rebound the ball and run, they're going to have a hard time staying with us, and I thought we rotated the minutes pretty good. That's the hardest job.
A little bit of pressure off now that you've started to play, knowing what it's going to be like.
Yeah, it feels better until you find out exactly what's going to happen. But the guys have been terrific. We'll start a different lineup here the second half. We're going to be rotating through lineups. We'll find out more about who can play together. And we want to come out with good intensity and play good basketball.
All right, thanks a lot, Chuck. Good luck to you. All right, Marv.
All right, and Chuck talking about rotating the minutes. He has gone with a combination here to open up the second half. David Robinson, the lone starter, will jump center, but he has Karl Malone and Chris Mullen at the forward positions, and Clyde Drexler and John Stockton at the guards.
So you take the one starter from the starting unit in Robinson and you move him in with the second group that came on the floor. It allows you to move Karl Malone back to his natural power forward position, and you take another look, a different way of playing this game, Chuck, with a number of combinations obviously possible.
The second half is underway in international play. There are 2 20-minute halves. Mullen for a straightaway 3. Another three-pointer for the United States. They now lead 70-27 for Mullen, his second from three-point land. And the foul is called.
Number 10 on Drexler.
On Drexler.
Personal foul. First team foul of the second half.
United States now 5 of 9 in the three-point shot. Cuba 2 of 9. This is Gilbert, and he lost it. He tried to back in on Robinson.
The problem is you get the ball down the low post, you start to back David Robinson in, then you say to yourself, where am I going with this?
Malone was hit. Fouled by Lazaro Burrell. Lazaro Burrell is only 19 years of age. There he is, number 11. One of the youngest players in Cuba's national program. He averaged 17 points and a team-high 9 rebounds at the Pan American Games last summer.
In an unusual coaching decision in last night's game against Canada, in these games, 5 fouls and you're out. Not like the NBA, which is 6. Burrell last night picked up his 3rd. Coach left him in the game midway during the first half. He then picks up his 4th. Has to sit out the rest of the first half. Comes back in and plays the remainder of the game without picking up another foul.
And he came out strong in the second half, a major contributor in that comeback against Canada. United States with a 72-27 lead. Off the beautiful lead pass.
Clyde Drexler, when he picked it up, never even hesitated. He knew that Stockton was gone, just laid it out there with a behind-the-back flip for the easy deuce.
Foul committed by Robinson, a block of Gilbert. That's 2 on Robinson.
Covering for one another defensively, making things happen. As soon as Drexler picked up the ball, he knew that Stockton was gone.
Cuba back to its starting unit. Burrell and Abreu up front. Gilbert the center. Diaz and Perez at the guards. Gilbert not able to hit. Rebounded by Robinson. Drexler for 3. And back comes Abreu. Here's Perez. Leonardo Perez, Cuba's best all-around scorer. He averaged 21 points at the Pan American Games last summer. Only 2 of 5 to this point this afternoon.
He's an explosive player who plays in streaks, as David Robinson shows his versatility by ball faking, putting it on the floor to the basket. Perez last night, 20 of his 22 in the second half.
Last touched by Robinson.
The big man, David Robinson, with the ability to step out, then put it on the floor, and one dribble is all it takes for David to get it to the basket.
Here's Perez trying to get into one of those streaks that you mentioned. Mullen able to clear it out. Look away pass from Stockton. Well, that's a combination that fans here in Portland are accustomed to seeing with the rivalry between Utah and Portland. Karl Malone and John Stockton able to team up. Mullen with the steal. Stockton has Mullen. Goes the other way. Clyde was trailing the play, and Stockton set him up perfectly. John Stockton, man who led the league in assists and steals, leading the NBA in assists for 5 straight years, averaged just under 14 assists per game. Abreu with the bucket, and the United States now leads 80-32. 3 minutes have gone by in the second half. Marv Albert, along with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad, and Quinn Buckner from Portland. The U.S. men's Olympic basketball team making its debut here today. Shot clock down to 5. Robinson will go to the line.
Let's go back a moment ago for the United States team, the transition game. Stockton knows his big man, his partner, Karl Malone, the mailman, is going to be running down the middle of the floor hard, so he's always looking for him. And then when you think he's going right, instead he goes left to Clyde for the finish.
Foul was committed by Gilbert. That is his 4th. And David Robinson having his difficulties at the free throw line.
Well, in talking to David yesterday, we mentioned the conditioning factor and then the surgery on the thumb, how much of an effect. He said, well, it's not 100% right now. He said, but it's healed well enough that I can still run the floor and block shots to help in those ways.
Nice backdoor feed. Abreu not able to hit. Mullen for 3. And back comes Perez. Finding Diaz. And Cuba will maintain possession.
the hand, which was repaired, the scar, to David Robinson, surgery done during the regular season, and David on his way to recovery, not quite 100%, but feeling pretty good.
And there is the Jerry Tarkanian, who will be handling David Robinson as the new head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. Robinson underwent surgery back in March, and he's still playing with a splint on his left thumb. Stockton able to jump out for the steal. Malone for Mullen. Felix Morales trying to get back, but it was a 3-on-1 break. United States now leads 82-32.
What's happening right now with the Cuban team, you've got each of the players talking to one another about, look, throw the pass a little higher, throw it a little harder, throw it over here instead of over there, and that's what tends to happen. The pressure defense like this can just discourage teams, take them out of everything they're trying to do.
And Drexler leads the break. Stockton. Now, Mike, during the course of this week at the Tournament of Americas, we will see stronger teams than Cuba. Cuba did come up with a surprise last night. Last-second victory on the three-pointer by Diaz to beat Canada by 1 point. United States will go up against Canada here tomorrow night. But is this the pattern we're going to see? Will it be all blowouts for the so-called dream team of the United States?
There's no question, Mark, that this team is far superior to the other teams as far as the basketball abilities of the players. But you mentioned that there are stronger teams. The Brazil team is very big, very strong, a very experienced international team. Puerto Rico as well feels that they play well against the U.S. players.
84-32 lead over Cuba. That's the time remaining. The only concern of Chuck Daly as he approaches this tournament, the distribution of minutes to make sure that everyone is happy. You take a look at the average minutes per game of this all-star studded squad during the course of the regular season.
First of all, the NBA game is 48 minutes long. Here they play 2 20-minute halves, a 40-minute game. Each of these players on the U.S. team has been the focal point of their respective teams, so they're called upon to play the majority of the minutes for the team to be successful. Here, with a shorter game and with the talent that this U.S. team has, it'll be interesting to see how the minutes are split up. It probably will wind up in many of the games almost right down the middle with approximately 20 minutes, per player.
Particularly in this tournament with the prospect of a host of blowouts to come. David Robinson now 3 of 6 from the free throw line. We went back to the archives to check this out. The biggest point differential ever for the United States in Olympic play, 72-point spread back in 1956. The U.S. defeating Thailand 101-29. A United States team that included Clyde Drexler. So Clyde has 12 points. Back in 88, U.S. walloping Egypt by a pretty good margin. That 56 team included Bill Russell and Casey Jones. Perez. So the United States leads now 88-32. 6 minutes gone by in the second half, and it's gotten to the point where it, as you saw that the easy layup by Clyde Drexler, it has been that simple in the second half. The U.S. now leading 90-34.
When this USA, another turnover taking place, when this USA team comes out and applies the defensive pressure, it can break the spirit of a lot of basketball teams because it's going to have the ability to score so many points in just short, quick spurts.
The United States with 31 points, cashing in on turnovers. Cuba with only 2. Perez and Robinson able to control off the boards again. The U.S. on a break. Stockton from Malone. It counts, and the foul.
The long outlet outlet pass takes place. And when you can outlet the ball to the half-court mark, you know you're going to get your players out on the break, and a big man like Malone running the floor. Stockton and Malone, a combination that Chuck Daly wants to keep together as much as possible on the floor.
Miguel Calderon, the Cuban coach, now making changes. Massive substitutions. Miguel Calderon played for the Cuban national team. He was a member of the squad that upset the United States in its opening game of the 1971 Pan American Games in Colombia, South America. There is Miguel. That loss prevented the United States from gaining the medal round, while Cuba earned the bronze that year. This is his first international coaching experience. Took over the coaching duties only 8 months ago. That basket will not count. Stockton on a give and go with Malone. 8 points, 10 assists for John Stockton. Magic Johnson with 8 assists. And Malone with the rebound, fires down. Here's Drexler for Robinson. Make it 97-34. Well, going into this competition, there were basketball people who said no question it would be a series of blowouts. Drexler again, and the foul. But I don't know if the severity of this type of blowout was expected, because I think if you went over to the Cuban bench and asked Coach Miguel Calderon, would you like to stop this right now, I think he would say yes. It's enough.
There's not a whole lot you can do. It's very frustrating for a coach, because you understand that you still have to come back and play your next game tomorrow. And the objective of the coaching staff is to help the team as best they can to advance and move on to the Olympics. You go into this game and you understand, hey, maybe I don't have a real good chance of beating this team, but I've got to win the rest of my games.
Miguel giving the impression that obviously there is nothing that can be done. A lane violation was called, so Drexler got the second opportunity. 12 minutes, 11 seconds remaining. And the United States with a 100-34 lead. The Cuban team with the thought that a timeout was called, and that led the United States team to head back to their bench. But the officials wave it off, and play will continue.
How about if you're Cuban, you're thinking about this all of a sudden, that the second half started with Magic and Michael and Charles. Those guys were on the bench. They still have to come back into the game yet.
And the Cubans are back in action tomorrow afternoon. They go up against Panama. United States facing Canada tomorrow night. That's a foul on Robinson. Got a piece of Alberto Machadel.
Number 5, David Robinson.
David Robinson called for his third, and now a timeout is indicated. 11:57 remaining in the game.
This Olympic Showcase is brought to you by Schick, proud sponsor of USA Basketball. Schick, we're changing the face of shaving. By Converse, it's what's inside that counts. And by IBM, officially.
The Cubans 33-7 in the second half. They led at the half 67-27. They have a 66-point lead. Alberto Machadel on the free throw line. Just under 12 minutes remaining in the game. Larry Bird has returned along with Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan. Magic Johnson back, and that won't count. So Michael Jordan with his most explosive move of the day, but he was fouled before the shot attempt. Hit by Caballero.
Well, I think everyone in this building has been waiting for Michael to do something explosive. Unfortunately, the whistle takes away the opportunity.
Barkley try to go back door with Pippen. In watching Cuba get wiped out here by the United States, it might be difficult to fathom, but if you have a club that would be more competitive, what would the coaching strategy be to try and pull an upset against this United States squad? Mike, if you're coaching the other club, what do you do?
Well, first I make some big trades if it's possible. Try and find some guys hanging out that can play. But you try to control tempo as best you can. Perhaps changing defenses, hoping to use some more time off the clock when the U.S. has the basketball by giving them one look, then changing to another, maybe changing back. The next thing, offensively, milk the clock. Take the 30-second shot clock, run it down as low as possible, and hope for a very high shooting percentage evening so that you're knocking all your shots down, putting pressure back on the U.S. team. But looking down the road, two teams that should be very competitive teams, the Croatian team and Lithuania, both of those teams like to get out and run. So it's not their style to really, run the shot clock down.
Juan Caballero, the brother of Angel Caballero, called for the foul, and the steal by Angel Caballero. Jordan behind him. United States up by the score of 100-37. Oddly, the last time the U.S. played a major international basketball game, the opponent was Cuba. That was last August the 17th, as you see Jordan draw the foul when the United States beat the Cubans 93-74 to win the bronze medal. Earlier in that tournament, in the preliminary round, the Americans beat the Cubans 92-88 in a game that was every bit as close as that score indicates. That United States team featured 12 college players, including 6 who were drafted in the first round this past Wednesday. Christian Laettner, Jimmy Jackson, Walt Williams, Clarence Weatherspoon, Adam Keefe, Tracy Murray, all on that squad. Nice fake on Jordan. Good play by Juan Caballero. United States 100 and Cuba 39. And Cuba has actually unleashed 5 unanswered points. Scottie Pippen. The high man of the game, Clyde Drexler, has 17. Charles Barkley with 16. Karl Malone 11. Chris Mullin has 12. Larry Bird has 13. Jordan able to break it up. John Stockton with 11 assists. Magic Johnson has 9.
Normally that cross-court pass would have gotten through to an open teammate, but with the ability of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen to cover so much ground defensively, that's what many of these players have not seen in the competition they've played against. The athleticism, the fact that they cover so much space on the floor and then so quickly.
And the foul call.
Second personal, 14 foul.
It's on Caballero. Public address incorrect on the announcement. They said foul on Jordan, but it's Caballero. Bird open. Yes.
Actually, Michael Jordan wanted to throw that pass to Charles Barkley, who had just set the screen for him and rolled to the basket. Michael got up in the air, and to the last second, when the defense rotated across and cut off Charles, he knew Larry was in the right-hand corner, just dropped it off for the open jumper.
Pippen with the steal. Couldn't hold on. Macudel able to recover. Last touch by Bird. 8 on the shot clock. It is a 30-second shot clock in international play. Rojas and Bird with the rebound. Gets to Pippen. Pippen over to Jordan. Through the foul.
Number 12, Alberto.
Scottie understands that Michael will be there. All he's got to do is lay it on the floor. Michael will catch up and then protect with the body when trying to concentrate on the shot.
So Jordan to the line, fouled by Macudel. Well, 6 players have been able to win an NCAA title, an NBA championship, and a college championship. The 6 including a fellow by the name of Quinn Buckner. Nice setup. And it was finished off by Matienzo with just under 9 minutes remaining in the ball game. Barkley posting up. And he was hacked down the play. So Barkley to the line. Michael Jordan, Quinn Buckner, Casey Jones, Bill Russell, Jerry Lucas, and Clyde Leveillette stand out at Kansas before going on to the NBA. They have managed to win NCAA, Olympic gold, and an NBA championship. Barkley to the free throw line. Charles Barkley leads all active players in field goal percentage at 57%. In fact, that is second all time behind Artis Gilmore, who shot 58%, but Artis was doing it for the most part from close in.
Have a little quiz for you.
Yes.
You named the 6 players. Might there be one other guy hanging out here that's trying to do a similar thing? Add his name to that list? I know it's a tough question.
I would not even. Mike, it's so simplistic. Yeah. I would not even give it a shot.
With. Magic Man trying to add his name to that list of 6.
I was there when we were talking about it earlier.
Needed too much time.
I see. Oh, you're trying to fake this. A little fake quiz. 8:20 remaining in the game, and the U.S. leading 108-41. Jordan off the fake. Michael Jordan with a spectacular move, going to a second option. And the U.S. leads 110-41. Morales crushed. Look out.
Well, Michael was determined to make something happen here to get their crowd a little bit more involved than they've been. So how about a little double clutch, pull it away from the defensive man and kiss it off the rim and backboard. Jordan with the pullback, the concentration, elude the defense, and knock it down.
Give me Jordan and Barkley for Ewing and Muff.
Jerry West. And Jerry, in 1960, you guys dominated in the Olympics, beating all your opponents by an average of 40 points. I think this team may outdo that.
Well, I think so, and particularly with a collection of talent. But not only that, when you have talent like this, talent's willing to play together. And I think it's very evident out here. Many times they almost pass up a shot they should normally take. But it's fun to watch them play, and I think this is going to be great, not only for basketball worldwide, but I think the NBA fans would love to see something like this, and that's why everyone's so excited about this team.
And that's why we're here watching, too, isn't we?
Well, we've been asleep for a while now.
Jerry, thanks a lot. Back to you, Marv.
All right, about Jerry West, the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers. 7.5 remaining in the game, and the United States with a 110-43 lead.
And the U.S. showing a little zone defense right here, working on some of the things that Chuck was able to put in practice yesterday for the first time. A U.S. zone defense. He had to put it in because he had to work against it.
Leonardo Perez hitting a three-pointer. Magic Johnson able to come right back. Easy penetration for the Magic Man. United States leading 112-46. Cuba back to the starting backcourt of Jose Diaz and Leonardo Perez.
United States using a little 1-2-2, 3-2 flat zone.
Oh, behind the back feed. Pippen takes from Jordan. And the United States showing pressure on the inbounds. Gilbert being hounded by Barkley. And Barkley out of the pack. Barkley all the way. Drew the foul. Charles to the line. We'll go to Quinn Buckner.
All right, thanks, Marv. I'm here with JoJo White. And JoJo, you played on the 1968 Olympic team, but I got to ask you, have you ever seen a group that plays as well together as this group?
Quinn, this is awesome. It's almost embarrassing. You look at the score. It's really exciting for the fans to see this magnitude of talent all together to perform for the United States. So it's kind of incredible, and we're seeing history in the making.
What is the thing that sticks out the most about this team to you?
Well, I think the guys themselves are excited about representing their country, and for the first time we ever had our pro team pitted against the other country's pros. So it's very, very exciting. I don't really see any competition at all.
Well, I tend to agree with you. I want to thank you, JoJo. Back to you, Marvin. Mike.
All right, Quinn, JoJo White, one-time Boston Celtics star, standout at Kansas, and Olympic gold medal winner. Foul committed by Barkley. Indeed, Abreu checks back in, replacing Lazaro Burrell. The only Cuban player in double figures, Leonardo Perez, with 10 points. The high man for the United States, Charles Barkley, with 20. And 39-year-old Felix Morales on the free throw line. The United States now with a front line of Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson in the backcourt. Last touch by Pippen. Just under 6 minutes remaining in the game. The Tournament of the Americas beginning yesterday here in Portland. 4 games taking place. Overall, the top 4 teams will advance to the Olympics in Barcelona. Magic trying to hit Barkley, and back comes Gilbert. Bird with the steal. Pippen from Barkley, preceded by the look away from Bird.
Well, I guess they've decided that it's a little bit of showtime right now for the U.S. team. Making the extra passes, Jerry West mentioned a few moments ago, sometimes overpassing the basketball, but having fun doing it.
And Larry Bird has certainly enjoyed the afternoon. He's hit 6 of 7 from the field. He has 15 points. Bird has hit 3 from three-point range. Scottie Pippen to the foul line. Two-time All-Star, one of the NBA's most versatile players, man who has redefined the small forward position. Chuck Daly telling everybody how impressed he has been with Scottie Pippen. Not that he did not realize that Scottie is a terrific player, but as you know, Mike, when you see guys firsthand in practice, sometimes you get a better appreciation of the all-around skills.
A much greater appreciation when you're with them every day in practice and you see how hard they come to play in a meaningless situation. Practice, other than conditioning and getting this stuff down. But Chuck, a big fan of Scottie Pippen.
Felix Morales showing us the left-hand pop. The United States leading 118-49. They led 67-27 at halftime. Bird from Pippen.
This is all just playing right now. The structure part of it is gone. They're playing smart basketball, freedom to move on their own and play in the half-court offense. That time, a little back pick and then move to the basket wide open, and then the look and pass, the conversion factor.
Well, Perez showing that shooting touch that we talked about earlier. That's a three-pointer, his 3rd of the game. He now has 13. Another 3 attempted. Here's Barkley. Barkley over Morales, who could just shake his head afterwards. So Barkley, the high man, with 22. Substitutions about to be made. A new 5 entering for the United States. Bird trying to keep it alive. Deflected out of bounds. And a timeout has been called with 3:46 remaining in the game.
When someone at 6'5" picks up the ball, you don't expect he's going to take it and dunk it over the top of you, but Sir Charles certainly can.
With another member of the 1936 U.S. Olympic basketball team, UCLA's Frank Lubin. Quinn?
Thanks, Marv. I'm here with Frank Lubin, who did play in 1936. We talk about international competition. For Lithuania, one of the teams that everyone says can compete with this American team. This is the Godfather. Frank, what do you think about the pros playing in this?
Well, first off, I think the United States, what I've seen of them today, they're too good for anybody to compete with them. But I must mention my role in one of the teams that might give them a scare. I coached in Lithuania for 3 years after the first Olympics in 1936, 1939. We won the European basketball tournament. Myself, I was player, captain, and everything. Scored the particular basket to beat the former champions by 1 point. And then all my students thereafter were absorbed by Russia in 1940. I had to get out of the country. I stayed there for 3 years coaching. And so, but Russia, not known to have a basketball team in 1952, absorbed the Latvians, the Estonians, and the Lithuanians, and they gave the Americans a scare in Helsinki. They gave them the score was by 11 points. They lost to the United States. And going on in history, a lot of my students were coaching, and today, whoever beat the United States in the Olympics in 1988, do you know?
I know about it.
Oh, you know all that history. Well, 4 of my Lithuanians were on that Russian team. Today, they've got their independence. Lithuania, a small nation of 3 million people. They've got all these Lithuanians back from Russia and playing for Lithuania now, including Marcellonis, Sabonis, big 6'7" 2" man. And they beat the Russians last night by 30-some points. And they won to make it 54 points, showing that that's how long Russia dominated over the Lithuanians. But they didn't quite reach it, but they're a dominant factor in this.
Okay, well, Frank, I don't mean to interrupt you. We want to get back to the game, but we hope that Lithuania does well. They'll get a chance, hopefully, to play the Americans, and we'll see if they come along. Thanks a lot. Mark?
I didn't realize that Frank Lubin had joined our broadcast team, Mike.
Quinn and Frank going for their own special.
Yes. Well, that magic is not available. Maybe Frank wants to join us here at the NBC microphone. Frank, a star at UCLA and a member of that 36 U.S. Olympic basketball team, a host of the Olympians in for a gala dinner here in Portland on Friday night. 2:35 remaining in the game. Nice follow by Caballero. Stockton getting down. That was all set to give Frank the close. He could have taken us right off the air. Machadel being guarded by Stockton. Chuck Daly now going with Leitner, with Malone and Mullen up front. Stockton and Drexler in the backcourt. Alberto Maturel. So the United States now leads 127-57. A 70-point differential. Well, a look at the Miller Genuine Draft play of the game. This taking place in the first half off the save by Michael Jordan, going behind the back, finding Larry Bird, and he's able to hit the three. The rejection by Drexler. That gets the crowd going.
Clyde kind of likes the defensive aspect of the game, sending it back into the stands.
Malone from Stockton, it counts, and the foul. Assist number 13 for John Stockton of the Utah Jazz. Rojas called for the foul as fifth, so he is fouled out. Eliezer Rojas picking up number 5.
Well, earlier in the game, when I looked at the stats monitor and realized the U.S. team was shooting 71%, if you're coaching the opposition, you say, well, they'll cool off eventually. I'm looking at it right now, and they're shooting 72%.
And it's been a combination of outside shooting and many easy opportunities allowed to penetrate right throughout.
Size and strength, not even a matchup with the Cuban team against the U.S. front line.
A 72-point 17-point lead. We mentioned earlier the biggest win ever for the United States in Olympic competition was a 72-point margin over Thailand, 101-29. That was back in 1956. The United States team led by Bill Russell and Casey Jones, and this is now a 73-point lead for the United States as we wind it down. Caballero on the back dribble setting up against Drexler. Macedel and Nagreen over Mullen. Leitner able to get to it. Stockton from Mullen. Stockton saving it. Here's Mullen, and he's bottled up. Stockton on the recovery. Malone is fouled, and the crowd enjoyed the ball movement on that sequence.
You wonder how they know where the next guy is, but it's that court sense, the awareness of the entire floor. And then when you're trying to make a great save, you just lay it out there and you hope that your teammate continues to run hard and gets to that spot. And that's what's happened a number of times with the U.S. players. And then just before Paul Malone went up to try and make the layup, he delivered a little physical miss to Abreu in the form of a left elbow to his chest.
15 points for Karl Malone, 5-time All-Star. He and John Stockton leading Utah to the Midwest Division title this past season. And then they were defeated in the Western Conference Final by the Portland Trailblazers. Here's Caballero. Abreu able to keep it alive. Macedel just got a piece of the glass. Stockton ahead of the field. 134 to 57. Half minute remaining. Tomorrow night, the United States goes up against Canada here in Portland. While tomorrow afternoon, Cuba will face Panama. The chant of USA from this crowd of 12,000 plus at the Memorial Coliseum. 10 seconds to go. The Green putting the move on Mullen. Malone with the rebound. And that will wrap it. Drexler with a count. Yes, it does. Well, the crowd loved the conclusion. The final score, the United States 136 and Cuba 57. We'll be back in Portland in a moment.
Brought to you by Visa.
And our player of the game, by way of the Portland Trailblazers, Clyde Drexler off the bench to hit 8 of 9. He finished with 20 points and 7 assists. Actually, you could have taken your pick. A host of stars for the U.S. men's Olympic basketball team as they defeat Cuba by the score of 136-57. We'll be right back.
Shave.